indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Testing.
Testing. Thank you so much. Shamie, we have a roll call vote. Were you trying to get my attention? I'm sorry. Roll call to establish a quorum, yes.
Jackson. Here. Dr. Von Elliott.
Present.
Ms. Laura Real.
Present.
Ms. Tisler. Ms. Williams.
Present.
Ms. Lane.
Yeah.
And Dr. Cole.
Present. Thank you. At this time, Ms. Maria, would you present our norms, please?
Thank you. These are the board norms for the Riverview Gardens Board of Directors. Number one, cohesive team. Number one, we'll pause to hear all voices after someone speaks. Number two, consider all opinions. Number three, assume positive intentions. Under collective agreement, which is number two, number one, collective voices to reach decisions. Number two, honor and respect the work of the board. Number three, honoring and supporting the board decisions at all times. And number three, which is be prepared for meeting number one, the board will review the packet and submit questions within the established time frame. Number two, members of the board will arrive 5 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. And number three, administration will send board packets to the Riverview Gardens School Board within the identified time frame. Under number four, which is not allow outside entities to dictate board actions. Number one, the Riverview Gardens Board of Directors decisions will be made based on facts, policies, and procedures, not individual opinions or requests. And number two, educate and encourage the community to follow proper protocol for voicing concerns. And that's policy KC, which is community engagement. Those are our board norms.
Thank you. At this time, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
It's been motioned by Ms. Titsworth and second by Dr. May to approve the agenda. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And now it's time for Riverview Excellence.
Good evening, Board of Education members, Dr. Patton, colleagues, and community. This evening, I have several individuals for Riverview Excellence. I believe that some of them may not be here, but I'm gonna read them anyway. And if they are here, please stand. Darielle Lattimore, scholar at Lewis and Clark Elementary. Don't believe Darielle can make it. And for those who aren't here, we'll invite them to the next meeting as well to see if they can be in attendance. But Darielle Lattimore has made amazing academic strides through hard work and dedication. Her dedication has seen her improve from below basic to advanced in certain content areas. And so we want to applaud Darielle. Letitia Miller, the parent of a Lewis and Clark Elementary student. Letitia is the parent of Joy Collins. Ms. Miller regularly volunteers to support after-school programs at Lewis and Clark. She is always pleasant and greets scholars, parents, and staff with a friendly smile and kind words. She helps to make Lewis and Clark a better place. So we want to applaud Ms. Miller, Letitia Miller. And Chanel Butler, a second grade teacher at Lewis and Clark Elementary. I know she's traveling, so she's not here. But her love for learning shows through her students' academic growth. She shows up every day and always brings positive energy and excellence to the Lewis and Clark community. Applaud to Chanel Butler. And I know Ms. Williams, a principal, had a sick child, so that's why she was unable to make it today. But we do have one person here who is being acknowledged. Ms. Kimberly Mott, can you please stand? Ms. Mott's looking confused. I called her earlier. I said, Ms. Mott, are you going to be at the board meeting? She said, yeah. I said, okay, that's all I need to know. So she didn't know. No. Come on up, Ms. Mott. Ms. Mott is the K through 12 math curriculum coordinator for the district. She deserves Riverview Excellence recognition for the work she has done throughout the district related to math improvement. She's gone above and beyond to ensure that she is supportive at all levels. Her excitement and willingness to support teachers towards improved math instruction does not go unnoticed. And I know that Dr. Patton has said that several times she's out in the district and she keeps hearing the name. Kim Mott has been so helpful, and we've seen those math scores start to improve. So we wanted to present you with the Riverview Excellence.
Yes. Yes. Excellent. That's awesome.
Whip out your speech that you have in your pocket. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ms. Mott.
I just, thank you. I love what I do. I loved it as a teacher. I loved it as a coach, and I really love it this way because I feel I can impact more classrooms, more students. So just thank you very much.
Oh, nope, you gotta come up front. There has to be a picture, Ms. Mott. Come on up.
Get your
Board
photo.
member. Nice try.
That concludes Riverview Excellence.
So much. And these are the things the public needs to know about. You hear all kinds of stuff about what's going on in schools, but we need to brag a little louder about the great things that are happening in Riverview. Thank you so much. Okay, and at this time, we have a public comment. Is it? Oh, yes, I do have the form. We have a public comment from Joylyn Pruitt-Adams.
She looks familiar.
Familiar, I met her.
Good evening, Board of Education,
Good
Dr.
evening.
Patton, staff, and community members. I am here to share with you one of my new roles. I am the Region 7 Missouri School Board Association Superintendent Liaison. Region 7 comprises of St. Louis City, the greater St. Louis County area, St. Charles County, and Jefferson County. It's a new process with MSBA. Catherine Whitaker, who just left here, is my supervisor. And part of the work that I will do, my job is to support all of the superintendents that fall under my region. It help them with their relationship with school boards, board governance. If there's anything that the superintendents need, it is my job to serve as a resource to make sure that happens. An example is on Friday, Travis, Mr. Ford Senior, I'm sorry, Mr. Ford Senior will be attending collective bargaining training. I make sure that they get that type of information when it comes out, the stuff that you guys have learned on 727 and so forth. I will also be assisting as we move forward with different retreats that MSBA does for you. My work with Dr. Patton will include but not be limited to helping her with CSIP, accountability, her evaluation, growth plan, the turnaround plans, anything that she needs, or if there's information that she needs. Part of my role is to make sure that she has that. And so Shay Fields has the form. You guys can see what my role is. It is in collaboration with Missouri Association of Administrators, Missouri Association of School Business Officials, and Missouri Association of Retired Teachers.
Very
All right.
good.
Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent.
I just want to say I miss you all and have a great holiday.
Thank you. Good to see you, Dr. Dreiling. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pruitt Adams.
Thank you.
Awesome. That is awesome.
It is.
Support is a great thing.
I'm just gonna say, as a member of Region 7's Executive Committee,
Yes, Yes, ma'am.
All right, good for you. Are there any board member announcements?
I just want to say it's election season time, so it's time for individuals to begin registering to run for your local elected seats and school board. So please, if you are interested, go and sign up in St. Louis County for a school board, and then you may have to check with your local municipalities for the positions that they have available in the municipalities so that we can have great people serving.
Thank you. Are there any other announcements?
I'd like to make an announcement.
Yes.
On Saturday, we had a very productive training session regarding financial fiscal responsibility that was sponsored by the MSBA. And I thank Ms. Titsworth, Ms. Pope, Ms. Williams, Dr. Coleman, and Ms. Moral Real for I learned a lot about you all, number one. We had a real good introduction session where we played a little game, and what's the one thing that you wouldn't look at me and wouldn't know that I fill in the blank. So I learned some things. One thing I learned about Miss Williams, she and I both have a passion for the outdoors. So, and I didn't know that. So these training sessions are very beneficial. It fosters team camaraderie. We operate as a team when we make a commitment to get additional training that's so necessary for us to do our jobs. And one of the things regarding becoming a member of the school board, MSBA put out a booklet about whether or not you're ready for that. And one of the things they said was to be committed in your time. That means to prepare for and attend board meetings, work sessions, and committee meetings. That's part of our mandate. That's part of our goal. That's part of the pledge that we all took. So it was we learned a lot. And thank you, Dr. Patton, for sponsoring that.
You're more than welcome. We also learned a lot about Senate Bill 727 and the effects that it's going to have on school districts and our budget as well. So Catherine Quinley did that from MSBA. Linda Quinley. Linda Quinley did that from MSBA, and it was a good training. Thank you.
Are you going to talk about Westview Middle School?
Absolutely. You mean in my superintendent comments? Yes, ma'am. Do you want to talk about? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't think it could be too much rain on that parade.
No, it was
It was
beautiful.
simply wonderful.
Yes.
The fine gentleman of Alpha and the principal sponsored a day of learning and just camaraderie for the young people in
Yes.
our community.
Yes.
Mainly they were in our district, but it was open to all young people. And there were over 100 students there.
Yes.
They were, it was very inspiring to hear those young men and young women
Mhm.
talk about what they learned about goal setting, how important it is to have those kinds of attributes to follow through the goals. We learned a little bit about social media,
Mhm.
which we all know is, it's a different world out here now. So we talked about a lot of things, and those young people really are on the ball.
They are. It was great, Ms. Lane. I have to concur with you. The men that were there there was, I'm gonna say maybe 25, 30 men that were investing their time in our young people. There were parents there as well who brought their young people. It was really beautiful to see. And so we have to take our hat off to our Westview Middle School principal, Dr. Cedric Gerald, who's hiding over there. It was beautiful. Great sight to see. Thank you. I can mark that off my superintendent's comment.
This is not necessarily an announcement, but when I left my home this evening, two of my daughters, the people that graduated with her that attended Central Middle and then the high school with her, stopped by our house and they were on the debate team. Do you remember Donovan? Donovan and Chris. Okay. Donovan and Chris surprised me and stopped by my house. They came to see my daughter, but they also saw me and they asked me how was debate going with Riverview. So I said I was going to pass that on. So they said that, we had an award-winning team in debate. So I'm just passing it on just in case they're listening. And they said they're gonna look to see maybe if it's a way that they can help get that back going again. So they extend hello and Riverview is still home for them, so. Just had to share that. Hope I got food left in my refrigerator. That's it.
Thank you. At this time, a motion to approve the consent agenda
So
as
moved.
presented. It has been motioned by Dr. May to approve the consent agenda as presented. And second by Ms. Monica Williams. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Our student representatives are not here this evening, so we will move into the superintendent's report.
So I'm surprised Ms. Lane didn't mention that some of us wanted to, how many of you remember the group of Taste of Honey back in the day? Yeah, Monica, Ms. Williams and I will reform that group soon. Because that was one of the things I wanted to learn was to play a guitar. And when I said who would be willing to form the group with me, Ms. Williams' hand went up first. So
Yes.
stay tuned. Stay tuned. Oh, no. No, Ms. Dave, enough singing went on at Convocation. All right, snow days. I just want to mention that as we are getting close to seeing inclement weather, snow, I think should be a little snow tomorrow. I just want to make sure that we are preparing, we're sending home Chromebooks, so we've been communicating that, as well as our communication chain. So we will be sending out a test, I guess I'm just gonna call it a test a test call to make sure that we have all the updated numbers of our district so that we can make sure when it's time to receive those calls in case of inclement weather that we have the most recent number. So parents, let me ask you, make sure your information is updated in our student information system because we are coming upon that time where we will be hosting AMI days. We had an unexpected AMI day at Central Middle School last week due to a, what was it?
Water main?
Water main break, thank you. And so, so make sure your information is updated. Also, parents, if you are listening or you are in our audience, attendance, attendance, attendance. Please make sure your babies are at school every day. We want to make sure they are very well educated and they need to be in session to do that. So please make sure that your students are at school every single day so that we can make sure they're prepared for graduation and life after high school. I do want everybody to know that the board approved a demographic study that was conducted last school year. Well, it was approved last school year and completed this school year. The basic results of that, and we will share the presentation with our community. We did have a special board meeting where we presented that information in October. We will be sending home more information to our community as well as our staff and our parents. The basic results is they are projecting a reduction of 10,000 students within the next 10 years. Or 1,000 students, not 10,000. Ooh, that would be devastating. 8,000 students in the next 10 years. So, and then none of the buildings are being fully utilized. So that's kind of simple results, but it was a very detailed study. We will be posting that study on our website for information for our community to be able to access. In addition, we will be seeking feedback from our community by sending out surveys. And when I say our community, I mean our school community, in the district, outside the district, our parents, as well as people who live in the community who may not have students who attend school. We would like your feedback too. So during our regular board meetings, during the comment sections, on January 14th, January 28th, February 11th, and February 25th. We invite you to make comments about it. Once you hear more about it, share your thoughts because we'd like to get your feedback. We are also sending home surveys to everyone. So our community will receive that. It will be in a letter that comes in the mail for some of our families who may not have access to internet service. And then we will give you a location to return it. We will also host some community meetings in January and in February in the schools so that it gives the opportunity for people who live in that community to come and share their thoughts. So I just wanted to let you know that was coming forth. And then what we will do is all of the feedback that we receive, we will make sure to share that at one of our March 2025 board meetings. So everyone knows what the feedback was and what the survey results were. We are having a collaborative cultures with our staff. We have a trivia night coming this Friday night with our staff, just to say we appreciate you, we thank you. We ask you to come out, staff, and join us so that, and it's free of charge to you. There will be pizza and we will have a game called Who's Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Please be ready for it. And then I just want to mention, we have our holiday break coming. December the 23rd is our last day. Well, December the 20th is our last day. I heard you, Tracy. I knew who said, I knew that. December the 23rd is our first day of holiday break. And then we return on January the 6th, 2025. So January the 6th, 2025. No, students are here January 6th, 2025. Our staff returns on January 3rd, 2025. Wishing all of our students, staff members, and community a safe and happy holiday. That concludes my announcement.
So much. Okay, now we're going to. I can't get it. I don't know where we're going. Now thank you so much, Dr. Patton. Now we're ready to move into our items for information.
Thank you. Our first item up for information is the impact of Senate Bill 190. Making this presentation is our interim CFO, Randall Charles, and this is not in conjunction with the policy. It's just something I wanted the board to be aware of. Mr. Charles?
Thank you and good evening, everyone. The last legislative session, the Missouri, House and Senate passed Senate Bill 190, subsequently signed by the governor. And that bill allows Missouri counties to freeze property taxes for seniors. Eligible taxpayers are those seniors 62 years of age or older who own property within the boundaries. The way it works is that the county will still assess the properties. So the properties may show an increase in value over time, but then when the county calculates the tax bill for those taxpayers, there will be a credit at the bottom that takes their tax bill back down to the frozen level. So those taxpayers that apply and who are approved will have their taxes frozen. That will have a financial impact on school districts. DESI ran some calculations. I know Dr. Patton attended a session, and the estimate they gave was that over a 10-year span, that would impact Riverview Gardens finances to the tune of about $2.1 million. So roughly $210,000 a year. That's about 1.25% of taxes we normally collect, or roughly 0.3% of our total budget. So it's not an astronomical amount by any means, but $210,000, you can do a lot with that. But that will be the impact in coming years, starting in 2025. So we'll first feel the impact during the 2025-26 school year. We'd be glad to try to address any questions you might have.
And you said it's about $210,000 a year?
Yes.
Okay, I had it. I thought it was something else. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
And we
Charles.
talked about,
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms.
Superintendent.
Lane.
But on Saturday, we talked about the projected value of our real estate.
Mhm.
We really don't really know for real the actual impact this is going to be.
No, it's all estimated.
It's all estimated.
And, you know, I assume DESI's estimates probably as good as anything I could do. So I just shared those with you.
Okay, thank you.
When that freeze is over, do the homeowner has to pay all of it back? From the freeze?
Yeah, I'm not aware that there is any termination to it. I think it is a forever thing. One of the things in Missouri, well, that won't apply. I was thinking of the Hancock Amendment, but no, I read the bill and there is no termination provision. So it would probably take another act of Congress to terminate that. That I'm not familiar with. Is it an every year thing?
Sharon, can you bend your mic back towards you?
Speaking to the mic.
Yeah, her question was whether people have to apply for that freeze every year. I'm not sure, but I see a lot of heads going north and south.
I heard you apply.
Okay,
And
that's
if you don't apply every year, and therefore you have, say you failed it, then you have to pay that year's tax that was froze, and then the other tax that's due.
I'm not familiar, but I can do some checking and I'll get that answer back.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Charles. Our next item up for information is Moline Elementary School Principal Amber White. She's going to present her promising practices. And if you were not aware, Miss White's school, Moline won the Promising Practices Award this school year. Give her a round of applause as well as her staff. Ms. White presented at her school, and I think I was there, Dr. Coleman was there, and who else was there? There was, oh, Ms. Marwell was there. And so she presented, and I thought the presentation was really, really effective, and I've been trying to get her to come and present. And I finally talked her into it. I think Ms. Nave took her by one arm, I took her by the other arm. So she is here
Little
now
different
to
than talking
present.
into it, yeah.
Amber White.
Well, so I was gonna say I am here under a bit of duress. Let me say that.
this was not a presentation originally. This was what do I say to a staff after they've won an award and I want to keep them moving forward, but also celebrate, which I'm not good at. So the reflections that I share tonight were not intended for you. You guys are a little bit more intimidating of an audience, and it's a little different forum, but hopefully there's something that we can all take from the reflections on our journey to become a Promising Practices PLC. I didn't feel like this at all that morning. I was in jeans. I didn't have this in front of me. So forgive me if this is a little less comfortable than it was the first time. When we earned the Promising Practices Award, I said, hey, this is super cool. Called Dr. Patton, called a few other people, and then went home, got on my couch, and the first thing that I looked at was data. That's Amber White in a nutshell is data. So this website is called All Things PLC. This is actually where you go to apply for promising practices. You can search all other schools in the country that have earned promising practices as well as the model schools distinction. There's an ambassador district distinction as well. Well, I wanted to know who else got this award. So the first thing I did, does this have oh, maybe it does. Oh, don't do that ever again. Will you sorry, I just wanted to use
It
the
does have a
laser. I
pointy
wanted to
end
use
at
the
the top.
laser. I'm not going to touch the laser again. But there's a way, the drop down, the first drop down is for the Promising Practices Award. So the numbers that you see on this map are the number of schools in the country that have earned this particular award. I counted, it's 80. So I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. 1 out of 80 isn't bad, 5 in Missouri, that's great. But I wanted to know a little bit more about schools that were like ours. So the next thing I did was I changed the filter for free and reduced lunch and I moved it to 100%. How many schools in the country have earned this distinction who serve students in our financial demographic? And it's 6. 6 schools in the country. So I was like, this is cool. Okay, I'm feeling good. And then I started to look at the schools. I wanted to know more about each school. So school in Tennessee, elementary school, about 300 students, 98% white. A school in Arkansas, about 500 students, 89% white. The next school, California, 83% Hispanic, which I thought was very interesting. A high school in Virginia, about 1,800 students, which is terrifying to me, but incredibly diverse school, a great mix of students at that particular school. A school in Arizona, 96% American Indian, which I found very interesting. And then I check this about once a week just to make sure it's still there. And that I'm not dreaming about it because it's really cool to see your school on a map. But when you click on the 1 in Missouri, it's Moline. And if you look at it, it says 99% Black. And that sits with you for a minute. It does. It sits with you. It does. And then it hit me. Oh, that's why I'm going home tired. My hair's turning gray, like I'm starting to become like Obama. We cry on the way home. We're exhausted. We're frustrated. We're given so much energy because we're trying to do something that other people aren't doing. Right? It's one.
Yes.
One place. And there's probably other pockets, but one place trying to do something that people aren't doing everywhere. And then you ask yourself, why? Why isn't it happening? And this quote sticks with me, and I remind myself of it when things are hard. The most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. We are fighting hundreds of years of purposeful systemic oppression that is designed to keep kids that look like ours exactly where the world says they should be. And what we're trying to do that other people haven't done is say, no, you don't. That as my colleague Cassia says, it doesn't matter what zip code you live in. We believe that you can achieve. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what color your skin is, despite the system that was designed to do what the system is very successfully doing.
Come on.
That we're going to do. See, you got to stop that. We're going to do something different. We are. And so I think sometimes we forget. We celebrate an award, but we forget. The reason it's celebratory is because people aren't doing it everywhere. And they're not doing it everywhere because it's hard and we haven't figured out how to fight the system. So the tears and the tired and the gray, and the money we spend to cover the gray, at some point it's warranted. It's worth it. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about how we got to the award, that there is something to be said for thinking about how we got there, because if we don't know how we got there, we don't know what to keep doing. And so the only way I know how to do that is to talk about winning. And when we talk about winning, there's no other team to talk about than the Chiefs. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I have a friend in the room. I forgot, because there's some haters.
Barely got by.
We'll talk about that game later. And I said this because when I said it in front of my staff, I didn't get that response. I got some groans because they all know me. And here's what I said. If I say something that's wrong, if your team is good and they win and you disagree with something I say, just tell me. But you didn't argue with anything I said. In fact, here I am. So, all right. So, and I mean that in all honesty, there are championship organizations, there is something to be learned from them. I am a diehard Chiefs fan. I loved them when they were terrible. And I watch every game now and I can tell you every statistic, and I'm about to. But there's something to be learned from them. And there's 3 lessons that I thought, when I talk to my staff, I want them to remember this is how we got where we are and this is how we keep moving forward. I don't know. You probably don't know this game, 13 seconds left. The Chiefs are down by 3, and somehow with 13 seconds left, they came back and tied the game and won it. In January of this year, it was negative 27 degrees in Arrowhead, and my man Andy Reid had icicles on his nose or on his mustache. But it doesn't matter, because championship teams play and they win with whatever cards they're dealt. We can't pick the zip code. We can't pick what happens in the neighborhood. We can't pick the property values, the economic conditions. We don't pick that. We play with what we're dealt. This season, we were ready. This was supposed to be the season, right? We got this guy, Hollywood Brown, first week, dislocated shoulder. He hasn't played a snap. Our star running back, Isaiah Pacheco, week 3, broken leg. Week 5, Rashee Rice, tackled by his own quarterback, injured his knee, hasn't played another snap the rest of the year. It keeps going. That's just the offense. The defense, the starting corner, another broken leg, out for the season. And then when all else fails, here goes your kicker, okay? He's a world-class kicker. I don't even know how at practice you hurt yourself, but the kicker hasn't played. The second string kicker, since I made this slideshow, the second string kicker has since hurt himself on an off day. And we're now playing with the third string kicker, which if you didn't watch the game on Sunday, somehow the third string kicker joined it into the upright. Because when you are a winner, you play with what you are given. You don't make excuses for who is hurt, who's there, who's not. You play with it. Whatever kid we're given, whatever staff member, Mr. Ford goes out and recruits for us. It don't matter what country they're from. Our job is to make sure that we win and that we win together. So I'm telling you, the Chiefs, it's all day. This is how the Chiefs started last season. This is how they started, coming off a world championship. It was a sad day. And then the story of last season was nothing but dropped pass after dropped pass after dropped pass. That's it. Every game, who's dropping passes all over the place. You know what I'm talking about, yes? Culminating on Christmas Day of last year, which was not a Merry Christmas in Amber's home, because the Chiefs were whooped royally by the Raiders. And if you know anything about football, the Chiefs and the Raiders are huge, huge rivals. They were whooped.
Go Raiders.
Baby, you're wearing red. You're wearing red, so don't say anything. They were whooped. But when you're a winning team, you take adversity, you take loss, you take struggle, you take frustration, and you turn it into a spark. A spark that says, I'm motivated, I want to do better, I can learn from this. And they did. From that game on, that Christmas Day game, it's probably because I put up a lucky Chiefs Christmas tree, but also because they learned from every one of those moments and they did not lose another game. They won the Super Bowl, they didn't lose another game. As a matter of fact, when I gave this speech to my staff, they were 6-0. They're now 12-1. And if you know anything about their season, they're winning on adverse moments. Every moment that they win, somehow, Lord, keep it going, is some moment of adversity in some situation for them to learn from. And the last, and I think the most important part about a winning organization is that they build each other up. So I'm not lying to you. I drive home every day and I listen to press conferences. I listen to Andy Reid speak every single day. And then Patrick gives a press conference along with a handful of other players on the team. I legitimately listen to it every single day on my way home because I'm fascinated by the leadership that people show and learning from that. And what you'll never hear Patrick Mahomes give is blame to somebody else for dropping a pass. He won't even address it. He'll talk about how he should have thrown the ball better, even though the ball would hit him right in the numbers. You'll never hear Andy Reid bash. You'll never hear him bash a player. He might talk about how we need to get better, but he never calls anybody out publicly. What he do behind closed doors, he does behind closed doors. He does what a coach needs to do. But in front of people, he builds them up. Matter of fact, if you are on an Andy Reid team and you fumble the ball, you are guaranteed to be the next one to touch the ball because he's going to say, I believe in you. Here's the ball again and show us what you can do. You drop a Patrick Mahomes pass, he's coming right back to you. As a matter of fact, you might be the player that catches the winning ball in the Super Bowl because he believes in you. He's going to keep throwing the ball at you because he says, I know you can do it. And I believe that that is such an important part of a winning organization is that we keep building each other up. To summarize, I mean, the Chiefs summarize it all, but we're doing really hard stuff here. A three-peat is hard. It's coming. A three-peat is hard. We're doing something that everybody isn't doing. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be ugly. There are moments. And this is just not Moline. This is Riverview, right?
That's
What we're
right.
doing, because Moline's
Absolutely.
success is Riverview success, and Riverview success is Moline's
Absolutely.
success. But we play with what we got. We got what we got. We make the best of it. We have to put ourselves and put our players, put our kids in situations to be successful. Every moment of adversity, all the ugly stuff, we've got to use that. How do we learn from it? How do we get motivated by that? How do we do better? And most importantly, we have to build each other up. We have to say, what you have, I've got to learn from. I've got to learn from you. You learn from me. You've got value. I bring value, and build up the value in each other instead of bringing each other down. Because this work is just way too hard to do by ourselves. So that was short. I told my staff I could take as much time as I wanted, but Cassia told me I couldn't take very much time. So I thank you for letting me share this. We're going to be done talking about promising practices after this meeting, officially done, because the next step is Model PLC. We have more, we have some more schools that need to apply for that promising practices coming up soon. So
Yes, outstanding.
thank you. No questions tonight. No
Outstanding.
questions.
Are there any questions? I'm going to ask for Ms. White.
I just have a comment. That was excellent.
Excellent.
I think that what you was said was worth internalizing for us all to keep
Yes.
pushing and keep striving, especially about team building, communication, how you engage and uplift one another is something that is very important because we as the adults are modeling for children. And so as we model, then they learn. And it's very important that we have leaders that can even integrate information from other entities into the work to show that we do go beyond our practice to learn more and bring it back and apply it. And that's to be applauded. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. Just one more thing. I really appreciate you. One of the things I loved when I was there visiting, everything she said, she would ask the question or make a statement. And what was Moline about? And it was all about teaching and learning. And that's it. And you embody that. So I like the way that you encourage your staff. I love your drive because that energy is projected out to the staff and they carry it and it's contagious. If you feel like you need to be energized or you feel like you need a push, go over there. And I'm trying, but they got this rule about, but go over there and get some of that contagious learning, excitement, and bring it back to your schools.
And I'll see you after the meeting, get my $8 for my Mary Kay that you made me.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
And Ms. White, I wanted to congratulate you for all your hard work and your staff. And this is so hopeful. It just lets us know that if one school can do it, all the rest can do it. So,
That's right.
so thank you. Thank you.
So now you know why I wanted her to present that, because when she presented it to her staff, I said, you've got to do this at a board meeting, and she pushed it off, but I'm as persistent as she is. So thank you, Ms. White. We are proud of you. We're proud of Moline. We're proud of all of our principals because they all work hard. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. Our next item up for information is a data presentation from Westview Middle School. The presenters are Ms. Barbara Sharp, the Executive Director of Continuous Improvement and Title IX Coordinator, and Dr. Cedric Gerald, Principal of Westview Middle School. This presentation is in conjunction with Policy IA, Instructional Goals, and IGAB, Instructional Intervention. Ms. Sharp?
Good evening to the Board of Education, Dr. Patton, colleagues, and members of the community. As stated previously, tonight we'll have a presentation from Westview Middle School. And this presentation will focus specifically on the efforts of the school, Westview Middle School, to demonstrate continuous improvement. You just heard from the principal at Moline Elementary School. And so the bar is set. And I want to say to you that there are several schools in the Riverview Gardens School District that are working hard to make sure that we are reaching the bar and surpassing the bar. So next you will hear from the great leader of Westview Middle School, and he will share with you his consistent effort to demonstrate continuous improvement at his school. Dr. Gerald.
Good evening, Riverview Garden School Board, Dr. Patton, colleagues, community, and friends. I heard Ms. White talk, I heard something she said, winning in adverse moments and constantly communicating the fact that we believe in you. So this is a year's worth of work while I've been serving at Westview Middle School. I think I probably have about 5 minutes before Ms. Sharp pulls my coattail, so I'm not gonna talk about the Chiefs. But if I could, if I wasn't as hoarse, if I could sing a song, it would be, if I can help somebody as I travel along, then my living will not be in vain. And so that's essentially what I'm trying to do, is just leave Westview better than when I found it. We'll be talking about attendance, mathematics performance, the MAP, comparison report, and celebrations. So what you see here, and I was in the school board meeting last month when Ms. Nave talked about attendance and the work that we were doing. And I was sitting back there and I thought, we still got work to do. So I immediately went back to my school. I think that was on the 12th. I went back to my school and I immediately started looking at research, started pulling, attendance trends in my building, looking at, how might we be coding attendance when students are absent? When are they coming? When are they leaving? How is it affecting their daily attendance? How is it affecting their hourly attendance? Are we cleaning up attendance the way we should be? Are we asking the right questions around attendance? And so are we leveraging all of the strategies we know that the research says that we need to be leveraging in order to improve attendance? And while you can look at this, just going back and placing a razor sharp focus on it for 3 weeks, you can see in November of the 90-90 attendance in November, and then just the increase in just maybe 2 or 3 weeks of just being more intentional about it. And so I just put that up there. But attendance is something that we are working on. And so here are just some of the things that we're doing at Westview to improve the number of students. Obviously 90-90 meaning that 90% of our students are in school 90% of the time. And that tier 1 level, one of the things that's interesting about Westview in short is the goal was to make sure that the overwhelming majority of our students were coming to school following the universal expectations. We don't want to be a school in crisis. We want students coming to school, walking in the door, being able to follow those universal expectations, reporting to class on time without having to be told to do so. And so when you come to Westview now, what you will see is halls are clear, students are in class, heinies are in seats, and learning is happening, because in Riverview, learning is what?
Required.
Required. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
All right. And so at the tier 2 level, one of the things that we also do, that I would just, that third bullet, actually it just talks about, the research says teams of administrators, teachers, attendance clerks, social workers, counselors, and more assemble to strategize around absenteeism. And so what that looks like at Westview is the grade level administrators knowing how to go into Tyler Pulse, see which students are approaching 90/90 attendance, how many consecutive days do they need to be in the building, and then leveraging those other supports. Do we need to reach out to the social worker? Do we need to get the SSD area coordinator involved? I sat with my SSD area coordinator and we talked about the students, for example, with IEPs who had the potential to reach 90/90. And so we just began to set some short benchmark goals. So for example, from the 12th until we went home for Thanksgiving break, we had the opportunity to capture about 26 students who could reach 90/90. And so we began to focus on those, making phone calls home. And then we had the opportunity to capture about 36 more students from the time we came back this past Monday until this Friday who could reach 90/90 attendance. But just them knowing their attendance percentages has already caused students to hit that, because you're setting a goal for them, right? You're raising the bar, you're setting a goal. And so just communicating with the students about their attendance and making sure that they know how many days that they need to be in school consecutively. And then in the tier 3 level, engaging and collaborating with families, right? We know that parents do want to help us. They absolutely do. They want to partner with us. And sometimes we talk above parents' heads and they don't necessarily, not to talk down, but telling them, listen, mom, this is where we can use your help. And so I sent that community engagement piece out, sent the call out for action, and parents are helping us out, making sure those students are getting to school and making sure that they're coming to school those consecutive days. Next, I'll talk about our math performance data by grade level. And this is, star data, obviously from this point last year to this point this year. If we were to talk about just the fall, we're in the throes of the winter data right now. But if you look at this, for example, the 8th graders are the students who are no longer with us, right? Those students are at the high school. And we tried to send some scholars over to the high school who were absolutely ready, because that matters, right? That they enter high school ready to do that grade level work. But I'll just draw your attention, for example, to this fall data over here to the fall data over here. The 8th graders over here are the 8th graders who are now at the high school. But the 8th graders over here in the 2024-2025 fall percentages would have been those 7th graders last year. And if you note and notice, what we obviously want in terms of MAP, that MPI is, we want the numbers of students who are in below basic and basic to go down, and the numbers of students who are proficient or advanced to go up. That's the short and long of it. And so what you can see is those 7th graders in the fall of 23-24, while they had 2.3% of them were advanced, look at what happened when they came back in the fall of 24-25. 6.0% of those students were advanced. You can clap for that. So from 2.3% to 6.0%. And so those calculations, that paradigm is already shifting to the numbers of students who are moving out of below basic, out of basic, and to either proficient or advanced. And you see the same thing, for example, when you look at the numbers of students who are moving out of below basic. And some might say, well, Dr. Gerald, the numbers in below basic are still pretty high. They are, but what you also see happening is the number of students in basic is increasing. And so if there's going to be some push and pull between below basic and basic, you obviously want students moving from below basic to basic, right? Because the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So let's move them out of below basic to basic. And then let's look at who those students are and start working to move those students into proficient and advanced. You get in the MPI, you get 1 point in that calculation for students who are below basic. You get, I think it's, 3 points. Is it 3 points for the students who are basic. And then when they get to proficient, you get 4, and advanced, you get 5. And so because we are moving that paradigm, it's causing things like, I'll fast forward to celebrations, an APR increase in 1 year from 17.3 to 55.9. Specifically, when you talk about one cohort and you tease that apart, when you think about the 8th graders, now again, these students are at the high school, but this data is on par for what's happening at Westview among the 8th graders who were 7th graders last year, the 6th graders, the 7th graders who were 6th graders last year, and even our 6th graders who came to us, just a word of thanks to my colleagues in the feeder schools, because even those 6th graders who are at Westview this year, they're showing a lot of promise in terms of being ready for that end of year assessment. So hats off to my colleagues in those feeder schools. Just very quickly, again, you can see that MPI in the 2022 school year, that group of students came in as a cohort was 315. In the 23 school year, that MPI was 300.6 points. And then last year, after we look at our data for this year, is 336.4. And so you see below basic is down. If you look at just looking at those numbers, the number of students from 1 year went from 56% to 37.8%. And then basic, again, those numbers going down, but look what happened with proficient. 21.2% of those students were proficient as measured by the MAP assessment. So I think that's worth a round of applause for those students and their families as well. And then 2.2% of them are advanced. And so again, just moving those students out of those bottom 2 tiers to below basic. And then again, when you look at math, again, the number of students, look at what happened in math for that cohort. In the 2023 school year, 94.3% of them were below basic. By the time they took the MAP assessment as 8th graders, it was only 73.1. And that's a huge celebration. And while you see, again, that there are 22.3% of them who are basic, notice what happens with that proficient number. 0.7 of them were proficient, and it went from 0.7 to 4.4% proficient. And the reason that is so important is because, again, when you start calculating that MPI, we get 4 points for those students who are in proficient. And so that's why that 4.4, while it may look like a small number, it's a big deal when you start thinking about how that formula is calculated. And so that's a celebration as well. Just as I kind of cut through the field here and wrap up, we're working still on science. We put a certified teacher in science who is going to work with us because we're looking for the most clear path now to improve our MPI and obviously our APR for Westview Middle School and ultimately our district. But we are working very hard to do that by just being strategic about where we can get those points, but obviously focusing on what? Core instruction, right? And so cause for celebration, again, I can't say enough about just how very proud I am. My dad, says a poor frog that doesn't praise his own pond. So we're certainly going to be doing some celebrations, there. The students are excited about it. They're internalizing their academic success, targeting groups of students in attendance. Again, I just talked about the number of students. So setting those small benchmark goals, solution tree progress, we're engaging in the right work. Critical question 1, ultimately just asking the right question, what we want our students to know and how are we going to know when they know it. We've got teachers who are on the move, 4 teachers in the SLU certification program. Shout out to Dr. Gibbons, who graduated with his doctoral degree from Maryville this past weekend. So that is exciting. He's a gentleman and a scholar. And then our students rock, I think that number moved today, but there's a metric that we use, and I brought this from a former life. But I think it's a good metric, just talking about AAA certification, attendance, academics, and attitude. So putting those three metrics in place to make sure that students are progress monitoring and internalizing that. And so we have 112 students who hit all of those metrics, 90-90 attendance. They've got all of those grades and those A's and B's, and they don't have any, referrals that result in, major infractions. And so it's more, but, I pulled that number just on the surface and looking at it today, and I thought, wow, students really internalize it. And if Amber, I dare you to try to beat this. These are Eagle. And I guess you doing good. You can spend these Eagle Bucks in our Eagle Buck store. There you go, some Eagle Bucks for you.
I needed this Saturday.
This is a real this is real currency at Westview. You just be surprised what something like this will do for a kid. And now so many of them have amassed so many Eagle Bucks until we're gonna have to open up an Eagle Buck bank so they can make deposits and have a running balance and go to the store and be able to pull up and say, ask how much money do I have in my Eagle Buck account, so that I can actually spend some of that Eagle Buck currency. And so that's just where we are. That's what we're doing. I think that's my time. So can you all join me in just saying, yay, Westview?
Yeah.
Thank you. I was trying to get away before you all asked that.
Dr. Gerald, come back to the mic. Come on back to the mic.
Okay. Great job.
Thank you.
I would like to compliment the administration on culture and climate. I would say that our last two presenters is a great evidence that when you're in a safe place to lead, you can lead.
Yeah, for sure.
And you've done a great job.
Thank you.
So I wanted to know, with the students who are excelling, do you incorporate some type of peer tutoring or peer support? And also, how do you help the children understand their data? Is that something that you're starting to do where the kids, like, I know my data and that kind of helps me to know how to move as well?
So yes, yes, and yes. So the first part of that question is in terms of peer tutoring. What we've done is not so much peer tutoring, but just collaboration, peer collaboration around certain metrics. We have Eagle 6, Eagle 7, and Eagle 8. And these are Google Classrooms that their administrators have, where those students are going into that portal or that classroom, and they are competing not only against themselves, but against each other to meet those metrics around, for example, proficiency, attendance, and behavior. And so there is positive peer pressure around that. What we've also done is given several students in our building rigor upgrades. We didn't offer Algebra 1, for example, at Westview last year, okay? But we did this year because we looked at our data and we saw that there were some students who could stand a rigor upgrade. Like you did 7th grade math, but based on your performance in 7th grade math, you need to be taking Algebra 1. So we put Algebra 1 back in the master schedule this year. But that wasn't enough because I've got a set of blocker twins in my building. And Kaylin Blocker pulled me in the cafeteria one day and she said, Dr. Gerald. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, I need an advanced class because I'm going to be a lawyer or a veterinarian. And this class isn't challenging me. And so we built our own honors math in the 7th grade to create a pipeline for 8th grade Algebra 1 in our master schedule. And I don't have to tell you where she is. So the short answer to the data is yes, but it's working because students are internalizing their own data. I was talking to Dr. Givens and the rest of my admin team. And the phrase I use today, our students at Westview, what we're seeing are becoming academically conscious, right? They are coming to me all throughout the day, Dr. Gerald, I'm proficient. I'm advanced. And they are internalizing what it means. And here's what I'm saying. Here's what we're saying. When you are proficient, that means that you are reading and doing math on grade level. And don't you want to do that? Yeah, Dr. Joe, that's what I want to do. Conferences, individual conference with students, and everybody's a part of that. After our benchmark, just in short, or in conclusion to your question, I had students, I was subbing in a class and they were working. And I started calling them up one by one to look at their instructional planning report and talking to them about their benchmark. And they were eighth graders. Every student that I called up, here's what they said. Dr. Gerald, I can do better than that. I said, I know you can. So show me. And so what we're seeing now, we're in the throes of our second benchmark iteration for this year. And students are exceeding what was predicted for them based on that STAR metric. And so they are getting those data conversations. Students are getting individual data conversations. Grade level administrators lead that work. It's one of the metrics that I have, or one of the expectations that I have for them. And I'm just partnering with them. I'm not leading that, they are, because those are their scholars. So the short answer is yes, but that's just kind of what it looks like at Westview.
Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions?
I just want to say, you have done an amazing, amazing job turning Westview around.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I worked at Westview, so I know what I'm talking about. You have done an amazing job. We appreciate you. You are our very own. He's our Joe Clark, yeah.
Oh, man.
He has turned that
Yes.
school
I don't know if
around
that's
too.
good, but-
You wouldn't recognize it.
Nope.
In 2010. So we appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am.
We are so grateful for that.
Dr. Gerald, congratulations to you and your staff.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what can students purchase with these Eagle Books?
So we have our social worker, actually, she has an Eagle Book cart, and we load the cart with all kinds of, so for example, I have on two, you'll be surprised, the kids like these silicone bands. So I have on one that says, you know, Christmas, Holly Jolly, and then this one is Merry Christmas. I strong arm these off of the Eagle Book cart today. And so students can buy things like this. They can buy Takis. They can buy, what'd you say? I owe who $5? Hey, I got it though. I got it. Hey, you can cool believe I got it. But yeah, and so can make it. And so those are some of the things that stress balls. We've got fidget spinners that light up. So it's all kinds of things. Some of them are sensory items that students can get. Some of them are just fun things, but you know, some of them, you know, snacks and things like that.
And how are the prizes funded?
So it is donations. You know, we fund it.
Yeah.
We'll go to Sam's and, you know, buy it just doesn't cost anything, you know, and so we just put it on the cart. Here, guys. We're getting ready to take a field trip to Build-A-Bear. I've gotten donations for that. So, you know, if you want to buy a bear for a kid, you know, holler at me after this or, you know, just giving kids permission to be kids, Miss Williams, that's all we're doing. Yeah.
So let me add, Dr. Cedric Gerald, I remember when we interviewed you and you came into the room and you lit up the room then, and you continually light up the room. You continually make a difference. Every single time I've stepped into Westview since he walked in, if I had to give a word to why he was able to turn that school around, it's relationship. It's relationship. He's building relationships with his students. They are free to come up and talk to him. We were sitting in the hallway one day. I don't know if you remember this, Dr. Gerald, and 3 ladies walked up after school and just, Dr. Gerald, and just sat down with us and we all had a whole conversation. Every time I'm in the building, there are kids in his office. He's just talking to them. He's in the hallway talking to them. It is relationship. He has given them permission to be kids. And he's building relationships to make them understand that they matter in his environment. If you do that with children, you get those results. Hats off to you, Dr. Cedric
Thank
Gerald.
you.
Hats off.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
I don't know who's gonna follow that, but I feel sorry for him. Mon- I think you're right. We should have ended with Miss White and Dr. Gerald. Okay. The next item up for discussion is acknowledgements of donations. Making this presentation is me. Ms. Liddell could not be here. So good evening, board members, Dr. Patton, superintendent, colleagues and community. I am presenting the quarterly donation tracker. If you take a look at it, I'm not going to go through all of the items, but we have everything donated from backpacks to school supplies, to general supplies, to toys, to all kinds of things donated for our back to school bash, alpacas, just all kinds of things. So if you will take a look at this, you will see what's been donated within the first quarter. I'm just bringing this to you for information. And are there any questions? Thank you. Our next item up is, it's a memorandum of understanding for student support services. Making this presentation in Ms. Liddell's place is me. It's in conjunction with policy DJF2 purchasing. And this is a financial memorandum of understanding with the Missouri Department of Social Services and Riverview Gardens. They have offered and through DESE to reimburse Riverview Gardens for the transportation of students who are in the foster care system. We have many students who are in our foster care system in our district. We have some that are in other districts that are transported to our district because this was their home district. So with the amount of money that we're spending on transportation of SID students, as well as our foster students, it is a welcome that we will be reimbursed for the foster students. So this is a financial memorandum of understanding with Department of Social Services. We will submit receipts to be reimbursed, showing payment. Are there any questions?
Yes, I was just curious, maybe the next meeting or through email, just what that potential budget impact would be. As far as the
Absolutely,
savings.
Dr. May. Got it. Our next, we're moving into items for discussion. That concludes our items for information. I'll just roll into items for discussion. Our first item up for discussion is the 23-24 audit presentation by Daniel Jones and Associates, along with our interim CFO, Mr. Randall Charles, and our accounting manager, Mr. Tony Ziegler. This presentation is in conjunction with policy DIE. I think that's an interesting policy, DIE, okay. Audits, Mr. Charles.
Yeah, the DIE,
Right.
following all the upbeat
Okay.
presentations, there's not anything probably less exciting than an
Then the
audit.
audit, right.
But an audit is something that school districts are required to perform at least every other year. Like most school districts in the state, Riverview Gardens chooses to have an audit, independent audit, done every year by an independent auditing firm. Our director of accounting is Tony Ziegler. Tony is here. I don't know how many of you have met Tony. Does a phenomenal job, not only throughout the year, but he takes the lead working directly with the auditors to provide all the information, prepare the district's financial reports and so on. So I want to be sure that we say thank you to Tony for his efforts in helping with the audit and everything else every year. Also, our auditor is Daniel Jones and Associates. With us this evening is a representative from Daniel Jones, Desi Kirchhoffer. I have to say, I'm feeling really old. Desi's dad was a teacher of mine when I was a high school principal. His dad went on to be a superintendent. He's retired, and I'm still standing up at the podium. But anyways, here's Mr. Kirchhoffer.
And we appreciate you standing there.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Board of
evening.
Education, Dr. Patton, community and colleagues. My name is Desi Kirchhoffer. Like he said, yeah, my dad was a superintendent of a school district, and my mom was an auditor, and now I'm an auditor of a school district, so it all makes sense. But yeah, I just want to say, congratulations about everything. It makes me so happy to hear all those good things going on here. I just wanted
Absolutely.
to say that.
Thank you.
So I'll just begin by saying thank you for allowing Daniel Jones and Associates to perform the district's audit. The district's staff are always a pleasure to work with, and we appreciate the assistance and hard work provided by Tony, Virgil, and Randall throughout the whole audit process. So throughout the audit, we issue a few opinions. The first opinion is on the district's financial statements, in which we issued an unmodified opinion. This means the audit was a clean audit, and that is the best opinion that a district can receive and that we can issue. The second opinion we issue is in regard to the district's compliance with requirements of Missouri's laws and regulations regarding budgetary disbursement procedures, accurate disclosure of the district records of attendance, transportation, and other requirements as listed on the schedule of selected statistics that you will see in your audit report. We found the district to be in compliance with the state requirements relating to attendance and the budgetary procedures. We did find that the district did not comply in all material respects with the accurate disclosure of the pupil transportation records. We found that mileage data maintained by the district was inaccurate, and it caused the district to not properly report that data to the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Finally, because the district expensed more than $750,000 in federal awards, they were subject to a single audit. We have issued an unmodified opinion for compliance with federal awards, and again, this is the highest opinion a district can receive. There are no federal award findings to report, and you should have also received a copy of the management letter along with the audit report. The management letter just consists of standard verbiage we're required to communicate to you, and it kind of dives a little deeper into that transportation finding we discussed earlier. In closing, I would just like to congratulate the district on having a good audit and to thank the board for giving Daniel Jones and Associates this opportunity. Are there any questions regarding the audit?
The question is, I guess with the mileage piece is, I don't know if, maybe Dr. Patton could answer. What type of tracking system? Is that something from First Student? Is that from the cabs? Like what mileage?
So it was from First Student, Dr. May. And my understanding is that this has been an ongoing issue. When we have the audit, they look at random things and they just never looked at it before. So we have a meeting this week, or is it next week? Next week, Randy, with First Student and how we can track our mileage properly. They do have a app that they use that's on board the buses that should be able to track the mileage on a daily basis. So rather than waiting until the audit is occurring to collect that information, Randy and I will come up with some kind of chart that we will ask them to check it monthly so that we can accumulate it ourselves and be able to give that information to the auditors when they request that. But while it is Riverview Gardens School District, we really had no control over the proper tracking. We will moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah, she basically covered it. I mean, we looked at the summary and we noticed some formula errors and just, not trip tickets not being entered in, and it's just simple stuff that can be fixed.
Okay, sounds.
Any
Other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank
You
you. Our next item up for discussion is our technology surplus. Making this presentation is Dr. Larry and Tameko Randolph, and this is in conjunction with policy DN2.
Markel, works alongside.
Oh,
me
and
as well.
Markel.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kirkwood.
Okay, Markel Kirkwood. All right.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Patton, colleagues and community. It's time for recycling again. As you know, we're a district striving to make sure that our scholars have all the tools necessary to be successful. And one of the ways my department, the inventory department, helps with that is by assessing all equipment. We got some examples here. You can. 5 sets of old equipment that is at the end of life and removing those from our school buildings. This allows the district to make space for newer and better equipment for our scholars. With that being said, we provided all the information. And here's another one. Too, as well. So we're asking that this be approved and picked up, and if you guys have any questions. Do you guys have
I
any
do have a
questions?
question, and this may be for Dr. Larry, I'm not sure. Dr. Larry, and I think I asked this question before last year, and I don't know if we made any progress on it. I am concerned with the number of technology that is just damaged and purposefully or not, it's damaged. And we know that they are expensive. The average Chromebook costs about $350 or something like that. We cannot continue to allow our students to damage the property without consequence. And I understand, I know our economics, I know where we live and the students that we work with. I understand all of that. I also know a $200 pair of tennis shoes when I see them, but that's neither here nor there. There has to be some accountability. I'm not saying that you're gonna ask a student to pay the $300, but let's start with, in another district, we would do something like a charger that was $40. You lost your charger, you had to pay $40. But the first incident, maybe you popped a key or something, $25. You cracked the screen, $25 the first time. The second time, you paid $50. Then when we get to the third time, now we're talking about you paying for the cost of the Chromebook. And I think that once we attach some consequences to this, because all of this was not accidental. Once we attach some consequences and you hit pockets, then we start to take better care of things, because what mama doesn't want to do is pay for the Chromebook. And then, and so, and she will make sure that I take good care of my Chromebook, because she's gonna let me know, because this is too costly.
And Dr. Coleman, I'm not sure if you're aware, but this year we did add that to the
Okay.
registration packet.
Okay.
Ms. Curtis and I worked on something, and there's something that parents sign
Yes.
saying that they are aware of technology utilization. We put a cost in there, the cost of the Chromebook, the cost of the charger.
Yes.
So we did, that was added
good.
this year. Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions?
I had a question. But a picture's worth 1,000 words. I wanted to know, why couldn't we use them if we wanted to? I mean, are they mostly all looking like that?
Some of them are not as bad, but before the department can give away or sell or whatever, any type of equipment, we have to remove any of the operating system, everything. And you can purchase that operating system for, I think, $199 off the top of my head. However, you can also purchase a new cheap laptop for $199. Therefore, by the time, as long as I can, I will repair them. Once I can't repair them, if you want to buy it at that point, it wouldn't make sense for you to buy a 15-year-old, 10-year-old piece of equipment where you can go out and buy something much cheaper, but that would do a better job for you. So that's what we found.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And one other question I had, are we still providing hotspots for students who don't have?
No,
internet? Okay.
we hadn't, I'm not sure exactly how this happened, but at one point, T-Mobile contacted me and said we owed them $200,000 for use of hotspots, et cetera. We've straightened it out and it's no longer that much money, but I cut them all off until we resolve that issue. However, next month, I will apply for, through E-rate, hotspots for the district. However, we won't get those until July of next year. And I have to be careful because they're gonna monitor it. And if we have hotspots that aren't being used, they would turn them off. Now, the problem we ran into one school, and I won't name the school, students were going in, taking the SIM card out of the hotspot, and these were elementary schools, and putting them in their cell phones. So, and this time, when we give them out, my department is gonna go to the school and give them out, make sure they sign for them, because they want extensive tracking of these. So when we do it again in July, it will be done totally different. And I tell you, those hotspots they're a monster to keep up with and track, but we'll have to do it. And I know there are some people who use them. In fact, Dr. Patton told me at one time, we need to be able to provide them for students in transition. So we do have to get some, and we will do that with the E-rate.
And I agree, and maybe we could limit it to students in transition,
I like that idea.
you know. Because other than that, you can find some pretty reasonable plans.
She can
Yes.
go first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Dr. Larry, good evening.
Good evening.
Do we know, the recycling company that will receive the, devices, are they able to restore any of those and donate to families that can't afford devices? Do you know? Or
I
do they
don't know
just-
that I can verify that. It seems to me they did at one time tell me
Yeah,
that.
one
I'll
time I
verify.
recall.
Yes, I remember. Let me verify. I don't want to say it and speak out of turn, but I'll verify and get back with you.
Thank you.
Mine is just more of a suggestion if it's not done, because just like with everything else, some type of informational video that can be shared with children on how to better handle devices.
Yes.
Could be a way to educate our children.
And we developed
Yeah.
one last year. I think, if I remember correctly, Ms. Williams we talked about that. I think it was last year. So we have done one,
Okay.
and we put it on the web, it's on the old website. I need to go back. I'll
Okay.
verify that too.
Yeah, so we might need to maybe incorporate it in a class during a particular period or something like that. so
And
that
we do that as well because we have a program called Junior Text,
Okay.
and that's part of what they
Mhm.
cover in that, the Junior Text.
Okay, great, thank you.
And it could also be something that's done at the beginning of the year when they do their music. I know that the seventh and eighth graders do some music training. I'm not sure about the other, but it's something that we definitely need to.
Oh, I agree.
Educate them because they will get angry and punch the screen because they lost the
Or-
game.
Or
that
throw
they
it
should have
down.
Been playing or throw the,
Mhm.
you know, so it, but when you attach that cost to it.
Yes.
it needs some attention. I just can't break it and come back and you go give me another one and another one and another one. No. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our next item up for discussion is window shade replacements for using Prop S. Making this presentation is Mr. Carl Scheid. He's the Executive Director of Facilities and Food Service, and this is in conjunction with policy DJF. Mr. Carl, Mr. Carl.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Patton, colleagues and community. Tonight I come before you with an item for discussion. This is the purchase of window shades with Prop S monies. This process actually started well over a year ago. Actually, when I first entered the district, the superintendent at the time charged me with finding a solution to upgrade all of our window coverings throughout the district. And so that's when it began. So ultimately back in fall of 23, we sought competitive pricing for window shade replacement. And ultimately Jimmy B Blinds and Shades LLC was selected to provide the service. So the service included taking down existing fixtures, window shades, and installing the new and disposing of all parts and pieces after that. We started off doing it on a school by school basis. We started off with Central Middle because that was the most in need at the time. And we've systematically worked through many of the schools. However, we're still in the need to do the high school, Westview Middle, the transportation office, and this building. So at this point, I'm bringing that package forward to seek your approval. The blinds that we're replacing actually are 20+ years old. If you've been in our schools over the year, you've seen them. They're mangled and tattered and ripped off the windows and so forth. So again, that's why this initiative was started and continued. We have designated Jimmy B Blinds as our sole source. So the intent, with your approval, of course, which would be at the next meeting, we would then proceed with those replacements. I have representatives from Jimmy B Blinds with me today who will talk a moment about the work they've performed, as well as how they would address these remaining schools. So at this time, I'm going to invite them to the microphone.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Patton. I'm Dennis Brunner, co-owner and managing partner of Jimmy B Blinds and Shades. First, let me thank you for the year of service that you guys have given us. Not that we've given you, but what you've given us, and allowing us to beautify the schools and be a part of you guys' community. Let me tell you a little bit about Jimmy B Blinds and Shades. We've been in business for 25 years. Started out as Jimmy B Blinds and Jimmy B Construction. Started off doing construction for Carr Square. We ended up going to Siteman Cancer Hospital, St. Louis Public Schools, we're the sole source for them, and many other large high rises in the area. We're the only Black-owned and only MBA blind and shade company in the Midwest. It's a wonderful thing to be in our community, serving our community and doing a quality job. Hopefully some of you all have seen our work and hopefully you're satisfied with it. What we do when we come into a school, we usually come in the off hours. We usually come between 3 and 7 a.m. if necessary. And we make sure the area that we work in, everyone stays in that area, we complete that area. We make sure there's no debris, there's no safety issues or anything like that for the incoming children. We communicate heavily with the principals and the teachers, let them know when we're coming into their rooms, when we need to move things, to make sure that safety is our primary concern and a quality job is second. We've done, like I say, most of the elementary schools, and what's left is the high schools. We take care of all of our debris. We leave no footprint of us being there the following morning, no trip hazards or anything like that. When the kids come to school, all they see is nice new blinds or shades. Hopefully, and I mean, it's a wonderful thing to come back in the community to where I hire people from that are part of this community, that have went to school here, that know the teachers, you know, that know the students. And it's a beautiful thing to come back home and be able to provide my service to the people that I grew up with. It's a different feeling from Siteman Cancer Hospital when everything is everything and you're an MBA because you're an MBA. But here we're part of the community and we enjoy that. When a 6-year-old say, how come I can't see through this? And you explain to them the different textures of the material and why he can't and why he can't. And we enjoy that, we really do. We enjoy coming back home. But with that being said, the work is quality work. It's as good as anybody that you're gonna get. We're probably 20 to 30% less than anybody in the region, and we're a single source supplier of this wonderful material that you guys are using, which is HT 1000. It maintains 25% of the heat that's exposed through the windows as well as the cooling. You don't get the sun and things in like that you normally would get through competitive blinds actually that cost more. I know we have a couple more schools left to do, and we're looking forward to getting you guys permission to do that. Is there any questions about our operations or how we do things?
What's the life of the blinds that?
7 years.
7 years?
7 years.
Okay. And what's the maintenance that normally is extended with the installation?
We have a 2-year warranty on parts and labor. We also come in and we also teach your maintenance guys how to fix the blinds. You know, we supply new blinds in the event that we do. Also, with what you buy, you also get stock blinds. It ain't like, okay, well, we got to buy more blinds. There's a stock. We also add 5% in stock. So you don't have to buy any more blinds. That's already included in what we've done.
Okay.
So in the event that something happens, and you know, if anybody needed the complete makeup of the roller shades that we're using, you'd be amazed at how advanced these things are. Our shades now, it meets all of the compliance. There's been a new compliance, believe it or not, in shades. We have a mold compliance. We have a heat retardance compliance. We have, it has to have so much sunlight in and out. It has to retain so much of the temperature in the room. And our blinds and shades meet that extensively. And all we pretty specialize in is hospitals, schools, apartment buildings and things like that. We're also doing a project with Bentwood apartment homes and a few other HUD homes. Most of the HUD nursing homes in the area we've done. So we've been around for quite some time, but windows and blinds and shades are seldom seen until you look out your window. But we're here. Anybody have any questions about anything? Okay, well, we really look forward to serving you guys on these final schools and to be of service even after that. And we have a strong reputation of service after the sale. And our quality is there. And if you look around, I'm sure most of the people that look at it are appreciative of it. And we appreciate you guys too. And thank you for the wonderful job you've done for us and for the kids in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
Knowing that the blinds that will be replaced with is 20 years past due, do we have are we building a more comprehensive plan to document these cycles of replacement so that we can, no matter who's in the seat, we will have a plan in the future of what needs to be replaced?
Yes, because obviously I'm finding out when it was last cycled through just by discovery, and some of it is still a little speculative at that because obviously not all the documentation is there. So yes. In terms of a long range plan, yes, the intent is to document these things so that we know when these cycles occur, and then we can work in conjunction with our chief financial officer so that we can budget appropriately and not have any budgetary surprises, but at the same time, have it in the works, in the plan going forward so that we know what is around the next corner and then in the upcoming years. So yes.
Is the data showing that there's been an increase in the cost of the blinds from since the pandemic or?
That I don't have any
Okay.
specific date, but
Okay,
Slight increase.
okay.
Because not because of the pandemic, but because the standard has changed.
Oh, okay.
And because it's changing, the standards are changing, different types of material that has to go into it for it to apply.
Okay. Thank you.
The average amount of increase in shade that I've seen over the last 15 years has probably been 5 to 7% every 18 to 20 months.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
and this obviously is a more durable material than what we've used historically. We previously had, in most cases, plastic mini blinds, which obviously do not stand up very well against our kids as they're trying to peer out the window and sometimes get a little too aggressive with the blinds. So yeah, and then with the fact that the gears and the inner workings are much more durable as well. They're less prone to be damaged in the process of opening and closing as well.
Okay,
So,
great, thank you.
Thank you.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next item up for discussion is our policy recommendations. Making this presentation is Jennifer Williams, the Human Resource Manager. And this presentation is in conjunction with numerous policies. There are about 6 or 7 different policies from time and substitute employment, health and safety, lactation support, short-term leave, staff support leaves, evaluation of staff, and student records. Ms. Williams.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Patton, community and colleagues. As Dr. Patton stated, I have 7 policy recommendations for tonight. The first policy is policy GB1, part-time and substitute employment. It is being updated to include the state survey requirements, as well as the grade level restrictions for substitutes under the age of 20 years old. They are not allowed to teach in high school grades 9 through 12. The recommendation is that the Board of Education accept the changes and additional language being added to policy GB1 to be in compliance with state statute and law. The next policy is GBE, Staff Health and Safety. This policy is being updated to align with the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. And we also have 3 other policies that are being updated to align with PWFA. This policy enhances workplace equity by eliminating the needs to compare pregnancy accommodations to those provided for other conditions. It recognizes unique challenges faced by pregnant workers and ensures their health and safety are prioritized without penalizing them professionally. The language being added clearly states how medical records will be maintained and kept. Employees will receive annual training on universal precautions and the district's communicable disease policy. And we have vector training that we do all our trainings through. The recommendation is that the Board of Education will approve the revisions suggested by the Missouri School Board Association to bring policy GBE into compliance with PWFA. Policy EBBC, lactation support. This policy is being updated to comply again with the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. The revision includes new language under the employee sections stating that accommodations will be provided as required by law following an interactive process with the employee. This policy also ensures that employees experiencing limitations due to pregnancy, childbirth, or related medical conditions can request other reasonable accommodations, and the district will not take adverse employment actions against those making such requests. In the student section, the Title IX coordinator will now serve as an additional point of contact for lactation support. It is recommended that the Board of Education accept this policy changes to align with the district's policy with legal requirements of the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. Policy GBCDA, professional staff short-term leaves. The language in this policy is being revised for clarity and to more clearly address leaves for part-time employees. The changes are also being made to align the policy with PWFA. Under the pregnancy, childbirth, and adoption leave section, the policy clarifies that absences related to these instances will be applied to any paid leave the employee has accrued. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the proposed changes by MSBA to align this policy with the requirements of the PWFA. Policy GDBDA speaks specifically to support staff leaves. It's basically identical to policy GCBDA, which is professional staff. The changes are also being made to align with PWFA as well. The updated policy will now specify that when allowed by law, the district will require employees to provide verification of illness from the healthcare provider or other documentation before sick leave or other paid leave is applied. Additionally, employees absent due to health reasons may need to present a certification of fitness to return to work. Under the pregnancy, childbirth, and adoption leave section, the policy clarifies that absences related to these circumstances will be applied to any leave the employee has accrued as well. The district will engage in an interactive process to determine appropriate accommodations, including possible unpaid leave under the PWFA. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the proposed changes from MSBA to align policy GDBDA with the requirements of PWFA. The next policy is policy GCN. It is the evaluation of professional staff. The board requires a program of comprehensive performance-based evaluation for our teachers and other professional staff members that it employs in order to ensure high-quality staff performance is met that improves student achievement. Under the section entitled Teacher Evaluations, the language reads, the superintendent or designee, which is the evaluator, will annually complete a summative evaluation of the performance of the district teachers. The new proposed language will state all probationary teachers will be evaluated each year until full tenure is achieved. Tenure teachers will be evaluated every 2 years who scored a level of proficiency or higher on their evaluation in the prior evaluation and are not in an educational improvement plan. All teachers will submit a growth plan each year. It is recommended that the Board of Education approves the new proposed language. The last policy is policy JO-1, student records. And this policy is being updated in accordance to Senate Bill 106, which mandates that school districts retain certain student records, including individualized education programs, individualized family service plans, and Section 504 plans as permanent records. The policy is a little unclear right now when it speaks in terms of retaining the records that are most recent. So for now, the Missouri School Board Association advises districts to follow legal retention requirements. Additionally, districts must maintain the confidentiality of student records, make them accessible to authorized personnel, and to ensure proper training for staff on confidentiality. It is recommended that the school board accepts the policy revisions. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair, I do have a question.
Yes.
Ms. Williams, I have a question about policy GCN, evaluation of professional staff.
Yes, ma'am.
I like the change because this is what they do in other districts. If you're a
Mhm.
tenured teacher, you're not evaluated annually. But do we know if the previous language about teachers being evaluated annually was due to our accreditation status? Does anybody know why it was annually for all teachers? Please, Travis.
Good evening, Dr. Patton. We don't know if it was, but we do know that the language was changed when the district lost accreditation and the state took over. And we believe, and this is something that also came up in negotiations, we believe that the change was made because accreditation was lost and because staff members were exited from the district, and then they had to start bringing everyone back, and they started everyone on a level playing field. So we believe that's when the change happened.
Thank you.
Madam
Yes.
President. This is unrelated, but I'm just curious, have we fully overhauled what we may need to with board policies that's tied to state versus us now being a fully elected board? The different policies that, are different between the two entities.
Now that, I know, no. No.
Yeah. No. Okay, so we need to work on those. Okay. All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Our next item up for discussion is the CSD Insurance Trust Grant. Making this presentation is me, and this is in conjunction, in the absence of Ms. Liddell, and this is in conjunction with Policy DD grants. Our district health coordinator submitted for a grant and was able to get a grant in the amount of $3,864 that was provided by CSD Insurance Trust. The funding represents a significant step in our commitment to fostering a culture of health and wellness for our students, staff, and community. The Spring into Fitness initiative will empower participants to embrace an active and healthy lifestyle. We extend our deepest gratitude to CSD Insurance Trust for their overwhelming support of Riverview Gardens. We will use these funds to do things such as chill and paint, yoga, and then dance fitness. The impact on this is a reimbursable, so we will pay first and then they will reimburse us in the amount of $3,864. Are there any questions? Thank you. And our last item Our last item is Dr. Gerald would say you can clap for that. Our last item up for discussion is the renewal of the Destiny Manager. Making this presentation is the woman who gave the hallelujah right there, Ms. Tanya Ross, our ELA Curriculum Coordinator. And this is in conjunction with policy IIAC, Instructional Media Centers. Ms. Ross.
Good evening, Riverview Gardens School Board, Dr. Patton, colleagues and school community. I'm offering up for discussion tonight the renewal of Destiny Manager. Destiny Manager is our management system for our libraries across the district. The Destiny Manager system allows us to track in real time the inventory of our libraries. So for example, we know all of the genres of the books that are available in our libraries with their titles and their conditions would be one particular feature that Destiny Manager provides for us. In addition, you see Title Peak. Title Peak kind of serves as an informational system about the particular book, whether that's providing information about the author, a summary of what the book is about, any instructional details if it's a book for professional learning for our teachers. And so we're asking for renewal of this product. And I promise you, we're ending on a good note. We were able to remove $10,000 from this renewal based on an innovation that we have in literacy, which doesn't require this particular tracking that was done by Destiny Manager. Are there any questions?
Hooray.
Ms. Ross, walk away from the. All right, Board Chair and board members, this concludes our items for information. Thank you.
At this time, we will move to our items for action. A motion to approve the 23-24 audit presentation by Daniel Jones and Associates.
Madam Chair, I so move.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Morrill and second by Dr. May to approve the presentation by Daniel Jones and Associates. Any questions? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. At this time, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
It has been moved by Dr. May.
Second.
Second by Ms. Morrill, that we adjourn. Thank you all so much.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
We're gonna let y'all out of here. Any opposed? Nobody wanted to spend the night. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. We appreciate all that you do.
Okay.